Okay, so that was a blues in G, and more specifically a jazz blues in G. Still a 12-bar blues. So when you do a straight ahead 12-bar blues, what it does, if we're in G, it's going to go the 1 chord for a bar, 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, 2 bars, then 4 chord for 2 bars, 1, 2, 3, back to the 1 chord, then to the 5, to the 4, 1, and to the 5, to wrap it up, and it starts again. There's variations on that too, but basically a 12-bar blues. So if I take those 12 bars in a jazz blues, it's the same. We do G7. Now I'm playing tritones, which I did a video on tritones. If you don't know what they are, check that out. I'll put it in the comments down below. So you've got a 1 chord, G. I'm just not playing the root. So this is the tritone. This is the intervals of the third, G, A, B, and the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or the flat 7, I should say, because the 7 would be F sharp, and we're putting an F in that. I'm just sticking it down here. Okay, so in a jazz blues, it's pretty much the same. It goes 1 chord to the 4 chord to the 1 chord twice. There's stuff you can do here, but back to the 4 chord. Then it goes to a diminished chord, C sharp diminished, and back to G, now for 1 bar instead of 2. And what it does is it climbs up to 1 bar of E7, then to A minor, which is the 2 chord, to D7, which is the 5 chord, and then it reiterates all that and on the tag only half time. So it goes G, E7, A minor, D7. So they were all dominant 7th chords, which again I talk about in the other video, and except for the A minor. Now the A minor is the 2 chord in G, so it's kept as a 2, and then the 5 would be D7, so it's a 2, 5, 1. Again, the difference being it's a blues, so it's not really in the key of G, but it's a G blues. Okay, so we're talking about extensions here. So if I play a full chord, all the strings, I don't have any fingers left to do anything with the harmony. So the way most people deal with that is they play the 3 and the 7. If you're a harmonic instrument, guitar, piano, a lot of times on a piano player, his left hand is going to be playing just this. Perhaps a bass line, but a lot of times they'll just play those 2 intervals, the 3rd and the flat 7. And then they start adding extensions. So if I look at the chord itself is going to be root 3, 5, flat 7. That's a dominant 7th chord. So what we do to create color and create melodic lines is on top of the 7 you can add a 9. Our whole harmony system is based on the interval of a 3rd. So it's root 3, 2 notes higher is 5, 2 notes higher is 7, 2 notes higher is 9, 2 notes higher is the 11th, and 2 notes higher is the 13th, and that's the end of the deal because there's no more notes left as far as letter names go. So we've got G7 like this. If I want to add the 5th, which is in the chord, it's right here. And again, that's in your big bar. The root is also in the bar. If I want to put that in, that's fine. So now if I look at that G chord as, and then you can double whatever you want of that. But the idea here is to sort of go against that and just play the minimal to get the sound of the chord, and then add these extensions. So if I look at the 9th would be the first extension. So that's G, A, B. If I play the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now that's the note A, which is the same as the 2. So what we're kind of doing is just going root 3, 5, 7, filling up the 2. And then in an 11th chord, we'll fill up the 4 that we missed. and then we'll flip the 6 for the 13th chord. I'll explain that in a diagram as well. So I've got this note A that I'm adding, so it gives me another color to play with, or melodically. So I could say, okay, maybe I'll use that G, and it'll sound great against that chord. So then if I say, well, okay, now I can add the 13th. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 spread above the octave is a 13th. So we call this the G13 chord. Now you'll notice that I'm not saying major or minor, because dominant chords are just that. To have a flat 3, or sorry, a 3 and a flat 7 is the real criteria for the dominant chord. Now for the 13, it's the same as 6. So that note would be E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's your sort of natural extensions. I can put the 11th in there, which would be C. It's pretty dissonant. Usually you'll sharpen that, so you'll get a sharp 11 chord, which is more dissonant, but it's well, maybe not more, but it is dissonant, but it will resolve to the next chord. And I'll show you what I mean in a sec here with that. So we have a 5, which is just normal G7. I could put a flat 5 in there, or sharp 11, or sharp 4, whichever way you want to think about that. To give you a little bit dissonance, I could sharpen that, which gives me a dominant chord with a sharp 5. Now I could also think of that as a flat 13. Okay, same note. So it's like saying this is D sharp, this is E flat. Just two names for the same thing. So that's going to create some dissonance on the other side of that fifth. Flat 5, sharp 5. And then, you know, I can do the same thing with any of these intervals. So the 9th was the A. I can add a flat 9. I can add a sharp 9. So in the example you just heard, hard for me to remember what I did because it was just an improvised backtrack that I played to a bass player. So what I did was I started with the tritones and just played the chords, back to the G for 2 bars, then I went to the C, then I played a diminished chord. Now a diminished chord is made up of a series of flat 3s. So that's a minor third, that's a minor third, that's a minor third, that's a minor third. So I can add that. It creates a lot of dissonance just before it goes to the G chord again. Then it goes to the 5 chord, or sorry, the 6 chord, E, 7. And then it goes to the 2 minor, A minor, in the key of G, A would be 2, then D7, and then it just repeats that. So G7, E7. Now sometimes I'll go dominant here, A dominant, and then D7. So we get this nice little line, and we're back to the top. Okay, so how I realize that, if you look at the video, you know, and analyze those notes, you'll see that I'm using all of those same notes in relation to the chord at the time. So if I'm playing on a C chord, this is the 3rd note now, the E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not 7, but flat 7. So that's where that tritone is generated from. So in that case, 9 would be D, which is right here. So here's just a C7 chord, and here I'm adding the 9. Well, I could add a flat 9. I could add a sharp 9. So you see, even though that shape is the same as this is referencing from the G. that's why the numbers are different. This is, you know, flat 7, 3, 13, and the root. When I go to a C chord and play the same shape, then I'm just going to fiddle my fingers around. If I'm playing from a C bass, this is the third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. And this note is going to be the sharp 9, D sharp. So that's the sound of that. It's the Hendrix chord, right? Okay, so I believe what I did, I'll try to remember some of the moves that I went. So I think I started 13 on the G. To get to the C, I just went chromatically on that string. So I created a melody. So that's a lot more interesting than just staying on this, or, you know, however way you play the blues normally. It's, you know, there's not a lot going on there. So this is creating some counter melodies. Then I might have gone, maybe not at that point, but at some point I went to this chord here, which is the same tritone G, and a sharp 5, and a sharp 9. Then it went back to the flat 9, which would be A flat, and that gets me to a C9. Now that's kind of a regular C9, if I add this bass especially, that a lot of blues guys will make use of. Now, so again, that line, so ba-da-da, takes your ear into the C chord. So it's C9, and then for the second bar I went to C diminished. Now, diminished chords are interesting because they move in minor thirds. If I move the whole thing up, I get the same chord, just a different inversion. That's the horror movie chord. You know, that really super tense sound. But it's great in that situation. So far, I've got this G to C9 to G, some kind of extension. I can add a A onto that chord. I chose to go the diminished route and back to G. Now I got to get to E. I could just take the tritone and go down to E there, or actually I could take the tritone and go to E here. So now if I look at that same shape here, that was a G13, and I look at it as a E7 chord, there's my root. We can see this is, I think, actually the Hendrix chord in E. So now this is going to be a 3, a flat 7, and a sharp 9, just like the C was. And I use the same inversion for the D7. So we have C7 with a sharp 9, a D7 with a sharp 9, and E7 with a sharp 9. So again, that last part where it uses these different chords that are not in a standard blues, it goes the one chord, G, 13. I can get up to the E7, sharp 9. Then I can go to A minor, or I could play A7. So that chord can be swing both ways. It can be straight dominant, or it can be minor. And then D7. At some point, I think I did a sharp 9 and a flat 9. And I see I made a melody out of it. It's a nice place to do it, and then it just reiterates that whole phrase, but quicker in halftime. So it goes 2 beats on each chord. So 1, 2, 3. And we're back at the top. So what you have to do is look at the root of each chord and you know, play your major scale. If I play a D major scale, then I can see in this chord, if I want to make a dominant chord, I need the 3 and the flat 7. So that's easy. 1, 2, 3, it's the note F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is C sharp. Well, I need a flat 7. So bingo, there's that same shape with the 3 and the flat 7. Then you just carry on, and you know you can add then, of course the 5th is in the chord. You can add, you can alter the 5th to a flat 5, or you can make it a sharp 5. So now on that D chord, that's a sharp 9. This is the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's the 9. Sharp 9, normal 9, flat 9. You can add the 13th to the chord. You can add a flat 13. So any of these alterations are called just altered chords. Good name for it. So the notes that would be altered then would be the 5 and the 9 typically. So you could have a flat 5. You could call it a sharp 4, like a sharp, or a sharp 11 if it's in a chord. 4 and 11 being the same note. So there's different ways to name these things depending on the situation. But I hope that creates a little bit of information for you to use in a straight blues to kind of spruce it up a little bit and create some melodies that maybe the soloist at the time can work off of. And there you go. So that's dominant chords in a blues and their extensions and their alterations on those extensions. Okay, have a great day. See you later.